Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Financial Spotlight. I'm Chantrell, and I'm here to give you financial tips and tricks that are going to help you on your road to know your money. And today we're talking about savings bonds. So, I've been asked this question multiple times by family members and friends, and some even clients, whether or not savings bonds are a lucrative investment and if it's beneficial for you. So, what I want to do today is unpack all of that for you in the next couple of minutes and give you like the step by step of what a savings bond is and how it's going to benefit you and your family in the future. I don't know about you, but when I was younger, those are what I used to get as gifts. I got them from my church, I got them from my family members. We would always have United States savings bonds. So if you hold on to them, they can be of value. One of my friends posted that in a Facebook group the other day about how he received this savings bond when we were at church when he was like in high school when he graduated, and then he just cashed it in not too long ago, and it had a pretty good sizable increase from that time until now. So, if you want to get more information about that, please keep on watching because I'm going to unpack it for you. Today, we're going to be talking about U.S. savings bonds, the benefits of them, pros and cons, and how they will help you with your investments. So, let's go ahead and get started. So, what exactly is a savings bond? Well, savings bonds are an easy way for us to loan money directly to the government and to receive a return on the investment. Bonds are sold at face value. For example, sometimes a $50 bond is sold for $50. The bonds accrue interest and your gains are compounded, meaning that interest is earned on your interest. Savings bonds differ from traditional bonds in several ways. So, unlike a traditional bond, which pays out cash interest regularly, a savings bond doesn't pay until you redeem it. Do the traditional bonds mature on specific dates and then they cease to exist? Savings bonds can be redeemed all the way up to 30 years. They are basically a long term investment. And a buyer of these bonds can usually turn them in up to the 30 years, like I said. So, what exactly is the way that you can use your savings bond? Like, in other words, how does it work for you? Savings bonds work by paying interest and the earned interest compounds. Even though a savings bond accrues interest over time, it isn't paid out until the bond is redeemed or turned in. Savings bonds can only be redeemed by the owner and they are not resellable. The bond can be redeemed directly with the government, or in the case of a paper bond, with the government or the bank or credit union. And savings bonds can be purchased directly from the government from their Treasury Department's direct website. And I will put a link to that website in the description box just in case you're interested in purchasing a savings bond. Now, there are three types of savings bonds. There's a Series E bond, Series double E bond, and Series I bond. So let me talk to you about those three different bonds. Now, the Series E bond, the US government first issued these to fund itself during World War II, and it continued to sell them all the way up until 1980 when the Series double E bonds superseded them. And so those Series E's are not issued any longer. Now, I know that I had some Series E bonds because I received them like when I was born, and I was born, before the 80s. So This is a bond that came out then, and now there are Series EE bonds, and these were first started to be issued in 1980, and they are still issued today. These bonds pay out a variable rate if issued from May 1997 to April 2005, or a fixed rate if it was issued from May 2005 till now. And then the Series I bonds provide a greater level of protection against inflation. They come with a combination of a guaranteed fixed rate and variable inflation rate that is set twice a year. And then the Series EE and the Series I bonds can be purchased, like I said before, through an electronic form. And the Series I bonds are also able to be purchased through a paper bond. Now, an electronic savings bond can be purchased in any amount from $25 all the way up to $10,000. Paper bonds, though, can only be purchased in denominations of $50, $100, $500, and $1,000. And then if your paper bond is stolen or destroyed, you would have to contact the electronic website to replace it electronically. So you won't be able to get that paper bond back. Now let's look at how you can cash your savings bond. So both the Series EE and the Series I bonds can be cashed in once they are a year old. Now, if you cash in either one of these sooner than 5 years, you'll lose the last 3 months of interest payments. Both of the series bonds earn interest for up to 30 years. So the longer you hold the bond, the more interest it accrues, but not beyond the 30-year time frame. Paper bonds can be redeemed at banks and credit unions, while the electronic bonds can be cashed on the Treasury Direct website by signing to your account and following the instructions. The cash value of the bond will be credited to your checking or savings account within 2 business days of the redemption. And then the downfall is at a minimum of $25 is required to redeem an electronic bond. So if your bond is less than $25, you may not be able to redeem it. So let's look at the pros of having a savings bond. Savings bonds are issued directly by the Treasury and backed by full faith and credit of the United States government. Only the federal income tax applies to these savings bonds, not to state or not local taxes, just federal taxes. Savings bonds can be used to pay for higher education expenses, and then therefore you avoid paying taxes if you use them for that. There's savings bonds, Series I bonds offer some protection against inflation, and Series EE bonds have a special feature. So Series I bonds um, have the thing about inflation because the rates adjust in response to changes in the consumer price index. So as things fluctuate, the changes happen to the I bonds because of the interest. And then for the Series E bonds, they have a special feature where the Treasury guarantees that the electronic EE bond issued in June of 2003 or later can be redeemed for at least twice the face value. If the interest rate isn't enough to double the bond's value, then the Treasury makes a one-time adjustment 20 years after the bond was issued to make up for the difference. So let's go on to look at the cons of having a savings bond. So let's see. The cons of having a savings bond are the savings bonds can have relatively low yields. So that means that a return on your money that was invested could be very low percentage amount. Um, and savings bonds aren't very flexible. And then individuals are limited to how much they can invest in the savings bond. So, for example, with the flexibility, they're locked in for at least a year, and then you get a penalty of a 3 months interest if you redeem it in less than 5 years. And then people are only limited to how much they can invest in savings bonds, $10,000 a year in each of the series. Now, what do I personally think about savings bonds? Well, to me, savings bonds are a very safe investment. They are one of the safest types of investments as you save money and you get an interest or some interest as it gets older. Now, savings bonds can be used to diversify your investments. And what I mean by that is it can be just one thing that you invest in. You don't only have to invest in savings bonds. You can do savings bonds, you can do certificates of deposit, and other types of investments, but it's one way that you can diversify your investments. And finally, savings bonds make great gifts. So when I was younger, my aunt, every single Christmas or holiday or birthday or whatever, she would definitely give me a savings bond. And my church would do the same thing. They would give out savings bonds as gifts. So these are great gifts that you can give to like your children or your grandchildren because in the long run, if they keep it over time, they will gain interest on that money that you invested in it. So, my question to you is, are you ready to invest in savings bonds? Make sure that you leave a comment in the comment section to let me know what you think about investing in savings bonds. Thanks for joining me. Have a great one. Goodbye.